everybody, it's Locke here, and we're going to do some of the Game of the Year stuff. And this first video that I'm doing for the end of the year are some of the categories that I felt should have been, highlighted. I did one last year where we talked about different things like best story, best character, that sort of thing. So I'd like to dive into that before I get to my favorite games of the year. So, without further ado, let's get to it, and here are some of the best games of the year. You should check it. Alright, first on the list we have the best art direction. And this was very tough to decide because there was a ton of games that I thought were just beautiful. We had things like Fez, that had its very unique pixel design and just some breathtaking animations and the way the world worked. You had things like Mark the Ninja, Dust and Elysian Tale, just beautiful, beautiful games. But it came down to a pretty common pick for this category, and a game that's on a lot of people's lists for various reasons. But it was Journey for the PS3. And I actually played Journey very late into the season. I got it last week with the collector's edition, and I was just blown away by how well it was put together. An amazing game overall, but the art and how the sound and just the experience of looking up towards this mountain, and that is your journey, and that's what you're going on, and how everyone plays this is going to experience it differently, but you are going to experience all of the amazing assets and just colors and different textures, and everything in this game is beautiful, whether you're underneath this isolated, desolate city, or high atop a mountain, flying through the air, or cruising through the desert. Just Journey nailed it when it came to how beautiful this game was, and that's why it gets my award for Best Art Direction of 2012. For biggest disappointment, I had to, go through a giant list of games, and none of them were really disappointing, to tell you the truth. But I guess when I think about it, I would have to say that Diablo 3 disappointed me the most. And not because it was a bad game. I had a lot of fun with my time when I did play it, but it just didn't grip me as much as other Blizzard games did, or even other games of this nature did. Like, I played a lot more Torchlight than I did Diablo, and it's just interesting to see that, because I wasn't super hyped about Diablo. I was excited to play it, but it just didn't hold me. I played through it once with one character, and I played through it twice maybe, which, I don't know, that's not very long. Like, it's just tough, because with something like Diablo, you have that loot and that positive mechanism of that cycle of just getting loot, leveling up, new skills, and it worked, but it just kind of died out and petered out for me, which was why it was disappointing. I wanted to play more, but it just didn't give me a reason to. There's no real end game for Diablo, and I'm not one of those people to grind for my loot or even pay for it, and I know they're trying different things with that. So yeah, it was just interesting to not play as much Diablo as I thought I would have. So that's why it's my disappointment of the year. Next up is the biggest surprise of 20 and this is a tie. I know it's kind of cheating, but I couldn't decide between these two games. They came out of nowhere, and just blew me away with what they were trying to do and how well they accomplished it. So first is FTL, Faster Than Light, this Cinderella Kickstarter story that got funded well over what they were going for, and really an Excel sheet in space. And if you haven't played FTL, you really deserve to do it. It's just one of the best sort of roguelike sci-fi galaxy sims. It's so approachable and so easy to get into and get lost in that it's just amazing. And every time you play, it's a different story, which is why I like it so much. And again, just out of nowhere. And the other one that I wanted to bring to the table was Hotline Miami, a game that no one had heard about, was on no one's radar, but when it did come out, it just took the whole scene by storm, and everyone was talking about it and what it was doing, what it was how violent it was, and the soundtrack is just crazy good, and really, you know, drive the 8-bit video game or 16-bit video game. And really, Hotline Miami is just something that you have to experience, much like FTL. And I had never heard of it until the day it was released, and I can't stop playing it. It's just so good. And both of those games, you have heard about them because they did surprise a lot of people, and those are my two biggest surprises of the year. Next up, we have the best story of 2012, and this is going to be probably my most controversial pick, but I'm going to have to go with Mass Effect 3. And I know that a lot of people got caught up on the ending, but I really can't fault that game for doing what it had to do to please the masses. I enjoyed Mass Effect 2 much more as a game, but in terms of the story it told, I thought that it did a phenomenal job about wrapping up this trilogy. My epic story, my space opera for Shepard was, you know, very decisive, and I thought that it did a great job of telling that story and concluding it for me. And, you know, even if you do ignore the ending, if you include the ending, like, it's still a great story. It still wraps up all those characters, and I just enjoyed it so much. Playing through that, you know, it's about the journey. It's not about that ending. And man, Mass Effect, what a trilogy, and what a way to end it with the best story in Mass Effect 3 for this year. All right, we have the best character for 2012, and that goes to my main man in Far Cry 3, Voss. What a vile and just crazy villain. One that gets into your head and haunts you. One that was used to market the game so well, and what a frontman for the game. Like, he's on the cover, and just he is one of the worst people I've ever seen in a video game. And he's played, you know, he's voice acted so well, and just his mannerisms, and throughout the game he stays consistent, which is amazing. And the reveals in the game, although they're not huge, he just really sets himself apart from almost any villain this year. Not only villains, but just heroes and characters as a whole. So my favorite character is a villain, which is weird for me because I am a golden boy and I really like playing as the good guy. But man, just they pull off Voss so well as this crazy Caribbean pirate that is just out there to get people and enjoys doing it. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. But Voss is my favorite character. Whew, the best new IP. We ran into a ton of good stuff. Really, really tough to choose this, but it had to go to my main man, Phil Fish, with his game Fez. Polytron really knocked it in the park for me. Fez was not a perfect game. It had its, bumps in development, but when you sit down and play it, there was no more pure gaming experience than I had. It captured the essence of my nostalgia and just my puzzle solving, and I was in awe playing it and talking with friends, and any game that can get you to talk with friends about it, to try and solve something, because you can't just go to GameFAQs, and hitting that game on the ground floor was such a great experience. I recommend still playing through Fez. Just play through it as naturally as you can, because it is one of the best gaming experiences that you can have as a gamer. It's not for everybody, I understand that, and fully accept that, but really, my game of the year last year with Dark Souls, Fez made me feel like that again, which is very rare in a game. So yeah, best new IP goes to Fez for this year. Alright, last but not least, we have the best remake for 20 does, and it goes to a little game called Spelunky, which infuriated me at times, I'll tell you the truth. But coming first out on PC as a Flash game, and getting a fresh coat of paint and put on Xbox Live Arcade, and really just, again, capturing that pure game experience with simple platforming, and again, weird to see another roguelike. Apparently I'm a glutton for punishment, which is why I'm throwing things like FTL and Spelunky and stuff like that on here, but I thought there wasn't a ton to choose from, to be honest with you, for Remake of the Year, but I think Spelunky really, when you play the original, it's tough to get into because, again, it just has that layer of separation from gameplay to graphics, which is tough for people to get into, but I think with the charm of Spelunky in its new form on XBLA is important because it gets a lot of people to play that game who normally wouldn't. And I think it's a little deceiving, which I don't mind, but man, what an innocent looking game. And that turned out just to be so difficult. That does it for this video with all these sort of flavor categories. Next video will be coming out very shortly, which will feature my top 5 games of 2012. Thank you again for joining me, and we'll hope to see you guys next week if I can get it out. Make sure you post your favorite games for each of these categories in the comments below. That'd be awesome. I'm always curious to hear people's thoughts on these sort of alternative things, and give out their own little words, because what one game does for someone, it may not do for another, and vice versa, because there's games out there that touch people in ways that I could never imagine, and something like Spelunky is very different Spelunky to me is very different than Spelunky to someone else, and that's why it ends up on my list and might not end up on your list. So surprise me and show me and just tell me what your favorite games were, and we'll catch you guys later. Thanks.